key lessons from Carl Jung that will help you understand yourself better. As we go through life, we all wonder who we really are and why we're here. This journey to understand ourselves isn't easy and can make us question what we believe in. But according to Carl Jung, a famous expert on the mind, asking these questions actually makes our lives more meaningful. His ideas about how to understand yourself are still helping people today. So if you're trying to figure yourself out, here are powerful lessons from Jung to guide you. 1. The power of the unconscious. Carl Jung states, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Picture an iceberg. You know, those giant floating pieces of ice that sunk the Titanic? The part we see above water is small compared to the huge chunk hidden beneath the surface. Well, Jung said our minds are like that too. The small bit above the water is our conscious mind, the thoughts and feelings we're aware of. But below the water, in the deep unknown, that's our unconscious mind. According to Jung, it's filled with memories, desires, and experiences that we don't even know are there, but they still influence how we think and behave. So what's the lesson here? Pay attention to your dreams, your slips of the tongue, and those weird, "where did that come from?" moments. They might be your unconscious mind trying to tell you something important about yourself. By acknowledging and understanding these hidden parts of ourselves, we can better understand why we do the things we do and feel the way we feel. 2. The persona and the shadows. Carl Jung states, the persona is a complicated system of relations between individual consciousness and society, fittingly enough a kind of mask, designed on the one hand to make a definite impression upon others, and, on the other, to conceal the true nature of the individual. The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality, for no one can become conscious of the shadow without considerable moral effort. According to Jung, we all wear masks in our daily lives. Not literal ones, of course, but psychological ones. He called this mask the persona. It's the version of ourselves we show the world, shaped by social norms and expectations. You know, like how you act all professional at work but let loose at home with your friends. On the other side of the coin is what Jung called the shadow. This is the part of ourselves that we don't want others to see, or maybe even parts we don't want to admit exist. It's where we stash away our insecurities, fears, and perceived weaknesses. The key lesson here: both are parts of who we are and neither is bad. Jung believed that acknowledging and accepting both our persona and our shadow is vital for self-understanding. It's about realizing that it's okay to have different aspects to our personality and that we don't have to fit into a certain mold. So, embrace all parts of yourself, the good, the bad, and everything in between. It adds up to make you uniquely you. 3. The importance of individuation. Carl Jung states, individuation means becoming a single, homogeneous being, and, insofar as individuality embraces our innermost, last, and incomparable uniqueness, it also implies becoming one's own self. We could therefore translate individuation as self-realization. Here's a big word for you. Individuation sounds fancy, doesn't it? But in Jung's terms, it's just the process of becoming who we truly are. It's about recognizing and integrating all parts of ourselves, conscious and unconscious, persona and shadow, and so on. I'll give you an example from my own life. I've always been a people pleaser, trying to fit in and meet everyone else's expectations. But over time, I realized that by trying to be who others wanted me to be, I was losing sight of who I really was. I had to dig deep, acknowledge the parts of myself I'd pushed away, and learn to accept them. Jung says this journey is crucial for self-understanding and personal growth. It's not always easy, it can be messy and uncomfortable. But it's worth it. Not only do you get to understand yourself better, but you also find a sense of peace in being true to who you are. 4. The concept of archetypes. The archetype is a tendency to form such representations of a motif, representations that can vary a great deal in detail without losing their basic pattern. Jung proposed that certain universal patterns or symbols exist within our collective unconscious, the part of the unconscious mind that's shared among all humans, kind of like mental DNA. He called these patterns archetypes. Some common archetypes include the hero, the mother, the trickster, and the wise old man. These symbols pop up across cultures and throughout history in our myths, religions, and even our dreams. Did you know that many of your favorite movies and books probably use these archetypes? Think about it. The brave hero setting out to save the day, the nurturing mother figure, the wise mentor, sound familiar? They're used because they resonate with us on a deep, unconscious level. So what's the lesson from Jung here? Recognizing these archetypes in our own lives can shed light on our personal experiences and behaviors. It gives us a framework to understand ourselves and our place in the world better. 5. The balance of opposites. The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. Life is full of opposites, isn't it? Good and bad, light and dark, joy and sorrow. We experience these opposing forces every day. Jung believed that these opposites are inherent parts of life and that our job is not to eliminate one for the other but to find a balance between them. This can be a tough pill to swallow. After all, who wouldn't want to have all the good without any of the bad? But Jung teaches us that it's through experiencing and accepting both sides that we truly grow and understand ourselves. Think about it. It's often through our struggles and pain that we learn the most about ourselves, and without darkness, we wouldn't be able to appreciate the light. Embracing this concept doesn't mean resigning ourselves to suffering. Rather, it means finding peace in knowing that life's ups and downs are part of our journey. It means finding strength in our struggles and letting joy and sorrow coexist as part of our shared human experience. It's in this delicate balance that we find deeper understanding, compassion, and authenticity.